This is Abe Friedtanzer from Awards Buzz, and I'm very excited to be speaking with Nebojsa Slijepcevic about the man who could not remain silent. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm packing my stuff because I'm flying to LA tomorrow early morning, so I'm a little bit excited before the trip. But very good, thank you.
Thank you for making some time to speak with me. This film is very powerful, and I'm curious about how well known this story is and how you came across it.
Well, for me, it was completely unknown story before my producer Daniel Peck sent me a newspaper article about 5 years ago, in which one great Croatian journalist and novelist, he wrote a piece about how Tomo Buzov is forgotten hero, because he was largely forgotten, and I've never heard of him before reading this article. And this article inspired us to make a short film, uh, because we wanted to make the Tomo Buzov's name make a household item in this area, because I think it deserves it, because he did something really heroic. But also, I recognized in this story something very universal, something that, although it happens 30 years ago in Bosnia, it, I think, talks to the today's audience wherever they're from. It talked to me for sure.
I do feel like this is something that's a lot more recent than many countries, have these conflicts that are, a century old or less than a century old, but this feels very, very recent and still very raw. Did you have any reservations about making this film and that people would want to see a film like this?
Well, I had many reservations, I must admit, because it is, but most of all, I was very aware. It was 30 years ago, but people who were on the train, many of them are alive today, and many of people who lost their dear ones on this train on that day, I knew they will watch the film. So I was very, I wouldn't say worried, but I felt a huge responsibility to, since I was making a fiction film, obviously it cannot be hyper realistic. Many things in these films are made up, are for the script, for dramatic reasons, but I wanted that the overall feeling of the film to feel honest and truthful, especially to the people who were there on that day. And so the first thing I did before even writing the script was I located the son of Tomo Buzov, Darko Buzov, and asked him for permission to make a film. And without his permission, I would never make such film, I wouldn't do it. And then I also tried to obtain as many documents about this specific event as possible. So I read thousands of pages of uh, articles, interviews with witnesses, court testimonies, from trials to the killers. So all to try to do an honest, truthful film. So many sentences that you hear in the film are taken directly from these transcripts.
What questions do you feel like you still have that if you could get an answer to, what really happened in this exact moment, would you want to have answered?
Oh, I have many questions because when I started investigating the case, I pretty soon realized that it's like a rabbit hole, and many things are still today not known. For example, uh, it was the action that was, in a way, many people knew that it's going to happen. Like 1 month before this action, the people from a railway company, like train drivers and the conductors, had a meeting, and they were warned that something is going to happen on this track. So it was like it's obviously organized much earlier than it happened. It was not like a wild action done by a group of bandits, who came. Who get the idea this day that they are going to do an ethnical cleansing in a train. It was something that was prepared for months, and to this day, it's not known who was the brain behind the whole operation, for example.
You were saying you had reservations beforehand, but you knew this was an important film to make. Have you received any pushback since screening the film? Anybody who's reacted poorly to it?
Actually, which is I'm not very surprised, like the biggest pushback I had in Croatia with Croatian right-wingers. Although this is film about war crimes committed by Serbian paramilitary troops, which in theory for Croatian right-wingers, I'm as far as possible from right wing. Don't get me wrong, And for me, this film is not meant to be nationalistic propaganda on the Croatian side, and it is not, But what Croatian right wing populists object with this film is that the main character of Tomo Buzov is he's an officer, retired officer of Yugoslav army, but for Croatian nationalists, it's too much even, Anyone who has anything to do with Yugoslav army is considered the enemy, which is absurd, of course, So, yeah, of course that there are some extremists who don't like these films on both sides.
What were some of the more positive and powerful reactions that you perceived?
Many, many. And the most precious one was in Belgrade when we had a Belgrade premiere in front of 3,000 people. It was amazing screening. And what was special for me that the family of Toma Buzov was at that screening. And I met them in person there for the first time. Before that we were in contact only over internet, and we talked on phone. But this is the first time that we met face to face, and for me it was very important their approval of the film, that they liked the film, and luckily they did.
I know you said you're about to leave for LA. Have you had the chance to show this film internationally a lot? And has the response been different based on where people have seen it?
Oh, we toured a lot with the film. I think we are close to the 100 international film festivals that we have shown the film. So it was really very successful. And I follow Letterboxd, I read the reviews on the Letterboxd, like which is extremely interesting to me. Of course, there are many positive reviews, but some negative as well. And so all of that is very inspiring, especially negative reviews, I must say, because I learn a lot from them. But uh, some people lacked some context, but many more people really liked that the film does not explain a lot. And for me, it was also very important to not to explain, not to teach anyone, not to make a history lesson, just to present a situation which is extremely stressful and emotional, and you everybody can read into this situation what something from their own experience.
I also think there are a lot of people, who, especially now that this film is Oscar nominated, they just try to see all the Oscar nominated films so they get some exposure to this. If people do want a history lesson, what is the next step? Where should people go to, try to get the full story of this particular conflict?
Yeah, well, it's quite easy with internet. You can start with Wikipedia. Wikipedia has several articles that are quite, informative, and then wherever internet takes you from that point. But Wikipedia is, I think, a good start for this case.
Do you have any designs of a feature for this film, or you feel like this was exactly the story you wanted to tell?
Well, for this story, I wouldn't do a feature because I think that I saw it from the very first moment as a short film, and I think this way of establishing the point of view and this way of telling the story would not work in a feature film, because yeah, it's really designed to be 13 or 14 minutes long, which is roughly the same amount of time how this incident lasted in real life when it happened 30 years ago. And so that was the experience I wanted to transfer to the audience, how in a very short period of time, your life can change, 180 degrees, and to never change back.
Absolutely. Obviously, you're busy, promoting and touring with this film. Do you have other projects that are either completed or in the works up next?
Yeah, actually, I'm working on a feature fiction film, which has nothing to do with this project, but completely new story, but very, something that is very exciting to me. It will be my first feature fiction. I did several feature documentaries before, but in fiction, I'm just doing my first steps in the fiction. And this story, it will be adaptation of a novel by a Croatian, maybe the best, if we can talk about who is the best and who's, but to me, the dearest Croatian novelist at the time, he is roughly my age, maybe a couple of years younger, and he wrote a beautiful book, but still, which has enough space for filming interpretation, So I can take it, and I'm now writing the script, and do something that is both truthful to the book and also very personally mine, because it deals also with the past trauma and with childhood trauma, and this is a topic that somehow I feel very close to my heart, and I'm very excited to work on that.
That's great. And as an Oscar nominee, you're in great company with some other short films. Have you had a chance to see any other films? And is there anything that really stands out to you as particularly powerful?
Yeah, I've seen almost all of them. I think I still have to see The Last Stranger, and I hope to see it soon. And the other three, I must say, that I'm in extremely good company, I would say. These are all great films, really very different, but if I was an Oscar voter, I would have a hard time to pick which one is the best. And so whoever wins, I will be really, happy, because these are good films, they deserve the awards. Yeah.
Really good attitude. Thank you so much. Such a pleasure to meet you, and I wish you luck with your future.
Thank you very much. It was nice talking to you.